Sean Nolan.
What is Nolan?
Wait a minute.
Okay, how are you?
Good, you?
Good. Are these draft motions the ones that just got emailed us an hour ago?
Yes. No change, yeah. So you're ready to go, we live? Okay, thank you. Welcome everyone to the City of Gloucester Budget and Finance Committee meeting of Thursday, October 19th. We are in person at the Gloucester Harbor Masters Conference Room on Harbor Loop. And we are also entertaining guests online via Zoom. So this is a hybrid meeting. And unless I'm advised otherwise, we're going to take things in order as they're posted on the agenda. That work for everyone? So I'd like to first introduce, again, I'm Scott Memhard, Ward 1 City Councilor and Chair of Budget and Finance. With us is at-large Councilor Tony Gross, who's Vice Chair of Budget and Finance, and Councilor at Large Jeff Wordley, also at-large Budget and Finance. Our Assistant City Clerk, Grace Poirier, our CAO, Jill Cahill, CFO, Don Dunn, Auditor, Mr. Costa, Kenny Costa. Why don't you introduce the assessor's office for me?
Certainly. Nancy Pappas, I'm the principal assessor, and this is Tim Good, one of the other assessors.
Welcome both of you. This time of year again, and we'll have some members of the public who will be getting good evening.
Is there any sense to consider that they probably aren't interested in the first 5 agenda items before to
Well,
take
it's
that
not public,
first?
it's gonna be no public comment.
So I'm going to go ahead and take
These
things
are pretty
in order
short.
at this time. I can apologize for any delay, but the first item on our agenda tonight is a memorandum from our police chief, Ed Connolly, requesting acceptance of fiscal year 2023 bulletproof vest grant program in the amount of $19,776.72.
He's joined.
Chief, welcome.
Good evening, councilors. Apologies for not being able to be there in person.
Not at all. So what can you tell us about these protective devices that we're being blessed with for this?
So this is a joint state and federal grant for which there is no match. And what it does is it goes through the each year, comes through our office each year. It allows us to over the course of time replace our protective vests, the actual bulletproof vests that the officers wear. Which believe it or not expire after a certain period of time. So this amount that you see before you is both state and federal funds, and it will be used to purchase the replacement vests.
Thank you, Councilor. Questions? Councilor Rose?
No, I'm good.
Councilor Woodley?
Not have questions.
Chief, just out of curiosity, as these things age and improve, do they get any lighter weight, or are they comparable in terms of what you and your officers have to wear?
Well, the first vest I had, council, was a flak vest. I hate to admit it. So yes, they've improved immensely, and they do the Kevlar becomes lighter, the materials that they use, and even as they, as you probably have noticed, that a lot of police departments, including our own, have gone from wearing the vest how we used to wear it under the shirt to wearing what we refer to as an external carrier, which has been shown to reduce the strain on the officer's back by kind of adjusting the load throughout their gear all around their chest and their upper body, as opposed to just around their waist. So there have been multiple improvements.
Good to hear. If there are no other questions, I'll go ahead and read the motion, which would be a committee recommendation from Budget and Finance to recommend that the City Council accept under Mass General Law 4453A, the U.S. Department of Justice fiscal year 2023 bulletproof vest program grant passed through the Massachusetts Executive Office of Public Safety and Security. And this is in the amount of $19,776.72 for the purpose of purchasing 19 ballistic vests. So basically $1,000 each. For Gloucester Police Department officers. The federal portion of the grant is $9,888.36, and the state portion is the same. The grant period is through August 31st, 2025, and there is no local match for this grant, and I so move.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion?
Just one question, if I may.
Please.
Grant period through 2025. I don't think I've ever seen that where it's not just one calendar year or one fiscal year. does that mean we just have to spend the money by 2025, or does that mean that there's,
I can just,
More money
I've been
coming.
noticing a lot of these grants, they're instead of a 1-year period, they're starting to turn into 2-year periods. I think they're just trying to make sure.
oh, right,
I think maybe it's just supply chain issues. They're starting to see that a little bit more. So I think they're just trying to give, us a little bit more time.
More efficient to the long term, probably.
Yeah.
And they don't want the grant money back.
Right.
So they don't have to write an extension.
okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Motion's been made and seconded. No further questions. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously, 3 in favor, 0 opposed. The next item is number 2.
Thank you, councilors.
Thank you, Keith.
Thank you, chief.
Memorandum from the Assistant DPW Director requesting our acceptance of calendar year 2023 recycling dividend grant in the amount of $16,800. Mr. Cole.
Good evening, everyone. Like was just stated, we're here to have you accept the 2023 or the 2022 recycling grants dividend in the amount of $16,800. This is something that we get on an annual basis. It's the same amount that we got last year. So we will keep doing what we've been doing. There's not much more we can do that's cost effective to get us more money in this program. So we'll continue to do what we've been doing. And as long as you guys want to accept it, we'd be more than happy to move forward with it.
Thank you. Questions?
Hi, Mark, thank you for being with us tonight. So this was an incentive grant. Is that based on our performance as residents and businesses recycle?
Yes. Yeah,
And
there's
you
a
said-
whole list of things that you can get points on.
And you said there's not much we can do to increase this that's cost effective. Is there
Not that's
something,
cost effective, no.
is there
A
something?
lot of
we-
it's like they want you to have your own like recycling place where people can bring it to it. Like have something at the yard where they could bring it, and it's just not effective for us to do that.
You have to staff it. Okay, I get that. Is there something we can do as city councilors to help spread the word and, it doesn't cost the city any money if we speak the same message? Is there something we could do that's helpful?
If I can think of anything, I will let you know.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Groves.
No, I'm good. We saw this was the same. This is every year we see this, right, Mark?
Yes,
Paul's good. Yep. I'm going to go ahead with a motion, which would be for Budget and Finance Committee to move to recommend that the City Council accept under Mass General Law 4453A, a state recycling dividends program grant under the Sustainable Materials Recovery Program for the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection for $16,800 for the purpose of enhancing the City of Gloucester's waste reduction programs. The grant has no match and unused funds may be rolled over to future fiscal years. And I so move.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much, Mark.
thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Now we move on to our assessors department and the issue of tax classification. So
I'm gonna kick us off, if that's okay.
that is great. Thank you very much, Jill.
I'm just here on behalf of the mayor. He couldn't be here tonight, to let you know the mayor is thrilled to bring this forward. To BNF, this is a long time waiting for these changes and,
This is not tax
Okay, thank
classification.
you. I apologize for missing.
oh, did he miss it? This is the
I
type
had
of
the game.
changes, yes. Not yet.
Exemption.
She doesn't have a giant binder. The size of her binder will be quite different.
Not yet.
A little binder for tonight.
That's the tip.
The mayor, this is something the mayor is thrilled to bring to you guys to take a look at. Our team did a great job on the research on it, and I'm gonna hand it off to Nancy and Tim to walk you through the memo. I'm happy to answer any questions.
As Jill indicated, at the directive of the mayor and in conjunction with the CFO, we researched the local options that were available for personal exemptions to determine what would be financially feasible for the city and would provide a greater benefit to eligible taxpayers. Currently, the city has a variety of personal exemptions. The most common are seniors, surviving spouse, veterans, and legally blind. We grant approximately 300 exemptions per year. And in fiscal year 23, there was 182 veterans exemptions granted, 101 senior or surviving spouse, 11 legally blind, and 3 tax deferrals. The senior exemptions have age, income, and or asset requirements that determine eligibility. The veterans exemptions do not, but they typically require a 10% service-related disability or there's specific criteria such as the Purple Heart. The first item on the memo that's up for consideration is the 41C senior exemption. Few apply or meet the eligibility criteria given the current requirements, which have been in place and basically unchanged since prior to I started working here. So we're talking in the 1990s. The minimum age requirement is currently 70 years. The exemption amount is $500. Income amounts, as far as the requirement, the threshold that you cannot go over are very low. It's currently 13,000 for single persons and 15,000 for married couples. There is an allowable Social Security deduction, which basically makes those numbers a little bit higher, but still extremely low at like 18,600 and 23,500. Asset requirements are 28,000 for single persons and 40,000 for married. This does not include the domicile of the taxpayer. And currently qualifying taxpayers are only eligible for the exemption on the portion of the house which they occupy. So if someone owns a 2-family dwelling, they wouldn't receive the 500, they only receive the 250. Last year, fiscal 23, we only granted 29 of these. And we think that's because the requirements are so stringent that few people do qualify. So the proposed changes for the 41C, we would reduce the minimum age from 70 to 65 years, which I think will be helpful. A lot of people come in at 65, they think automatically they have a chance to qualify for something. So that will open the door for a lot of people that are a little bit younger in age. We're also proposing to increase the exemption amount from $500 to $1,000 annually, raise the maximum qualifying income levels. It would be $20,000 for single persons and $30,000 for married. And those would also, with the Social Security allowance, would be more like $25,600 and $38,500. The maximum asset levels would go to $30,000 for single persons and $55,000 for married. And the eligibility requirements for what's called the whole estate exclusion would allow for 2 units in addition to the one that the taxpayer occupies. So people that own either a 2 or 3 family would get the whole exemption amount, even though they're only occupying 1 unit. And our goal basically with this is to increase the number of seniors that qualify for the 41C and to also increase their benefit that they receive. There are seniors receiving the lesser 17D, which I didn't really talk about, but they're in that number in terms of we granted 100 or so last year. It's a smaller exemption amount, it's $175. There's no income requirement, so sometimes people can qualify for these because it's only asset, not income. But with these changes, they might be able to move into the other category. So we may see some of them moving into the 41C, which would give them a much more significant benefit. Veterans who meet this criteria could also receive a greater benefit if they choose to apply for the 41C as opposed to the 22, clause 22. And Madonna Fleming in our office, who assists the taxpayers, does an excellent job. She walks all applicants through the process to see what is the best exemption that they should apply for that would give them the maximum benefit. Next item on the menu, on the memo is legally blind exemption. We currently have clause 37, and this proposes that we adopt 37A, which would increase the benefit from $437.50 to $500. And the last item is the clause 41A tax deferral. And this would raise the maximum income allowed from $30,000 to the income limit established by the Department of Revenue for circuit breaker state income tax credit, and that's currently $64,000. We don't have a lot of deferrals because it's basically you're deferring to a later time. It's not a credit toward the tax bill. There is interest that accrues. So typically, we don't have a lot of people that take us up on this, but this does expand the income level so that if people did have to go that route or chose to, that they would not be turned away because they are over the 30,000 that we currently have. None of the proposed changes will result in any additional reimbursement from the state. So what we're already getting for reimbursement would basically stay the same. And in terms of the veterans exemptions, the state has amended the clause 22 exemption amounts, and that was done in fiscal year 2007. There have been a few other updates since that time that we are aware of. And Tim also contacted the Department of Revenue to inquire about the veterans, so he has a little more information he can give you regarding that.
Okay, thank you.
So when we asked if there were any local options specific to the veterans, such as we had the options with this, we were told there aren't any. There are none that are specific to just veterans. The gentleman at Department of Local Services Law Department that we talked to indicated there are a number of bills under consideration at the state level, which are designed to increase the benefit to veterans. None of those have come far enough to be definitive. He indicated that a lot of times those are a little more difficult to get passed because they are generally reimbursed. So it's a cost to the state, adds a little added difficulty to getting them passed. The only other way that we could come up with that you could do anything for the veterans is what's called a clause 5C.5. It has a number of drawbacks. What it does is it increases the amount available up to 100% of the current amounts. The drawbacks come, it has to be done uniformly across the board for all exemptions that are offered. It has to be adopted prior to the start of the fiscal year. So for this year, it would be too late anyway. And it comes with more complexity in terms of administration. You can't, by getting the additional exemption amount, you cannot lower your tax liability any further than it was last year. So it takes time as you go on to build up to the maximum possible benefit. It also can create some inequities in the amounts that are granted to people with almost identical situations could end up with different exemption amounts. There's no additional reimbursement from the state. So it would come with a lot more administration and a lot more cost.
It sounds like it's complicated enough already.
And Nancy, the senior could get a 41C exemption and also apply and be approved for a deferral, right?
Yes, many of the deferrals that we currently have in place, I think 2 of them do receive that. So basically, it will reduce their tax liability for the year and they will only have to defer the smaller amount.
Councilors, questions, Tony Rose?
No, this is great. You know, any help at all that can happen, particularly the drop in the age is huge. You know, so this is gonna be hopefully taken advantage of.
We
Thank
do
you.
plan to do some outreach events.
Yes.
As
Yeah,
well as
well, we do have the built-in senior center. and-
we'll be at the senior center and at the veteran center,
Excellent.
Yeah.
assuming your approval.
Councilor Worthley?
Yeah, firstly, thank you, Nancy and Tim, for your presentations, for organizing. Jill, thank you for yours, and the Mayor for presenting this. Nancy, I think we talked about this, something like this about 6 or 7 months ago, then we emailed a couple months ago. So I'm thrilled to see this. Just a couple of questions. Is this a state law that each city and town has to adopt in order for residents to participate? That you have these-
Yes,
Explain that
the
part.
city chooses which local options it wants to adopt. And at any given point in time, they could change that via a vote. So we
Change the vote?
have, Via vote,
Okay.
these could be changed. So like we have the legally blind that was already adopted, that's clause 37, but we have the right to adopt 37A, which provides a little bit larger benefit.
So on the ones that are reimbursed by the state, that makes simple sense to me. I'm in favor of this, by the way, just sometimes I ask questions, people think I'm trying to like make a case against, I just want to understand it. So we have an aging population, we're gonna allow people now from 65 to 70, plus people turn to 65, so there's a larger group of people who might qualify. That, they're exempt, so we're collecting less money for our budget, and then that's offset by, I know there's a line item in our budget last year.
The overlay
Right,
account.
thank you.
Yeah.
And so if this goes in effect, does it go in effect before July 1st of next year, or would that be it? We wouldn't, I'm making some assumptions, the council passes this in a couple of weeks, someone qualifies for their second quarter bill. Could they be exempt, or does it need to be once the overlay is adjusted before July of next year?
This would be, if voted prior to mailing tax bills for this fiscal year, which would be the end of December, this would be effect for the current fiscal year 24. The overlay is designed to have enough funds in there to protect for liabilities in terms of appellate tax board cases and to handle all the exemptions.
So that point, I don't want to interrupt you, I have to finish. So if, let's say this is a robust outreach and people say, I wanna apply, and a lot of people qualify. Does that mean we need to make an adjustment between now and July 1st about that overlay? Or we'll just deal with it as it comes?
So, so the overlay at this point, and the law has been changed by DOR. It is now a cumulative overlay. So we have pretty much been approving a 400,000 overlay in each year. We have never used that much in the time that I've been here. So generally our moving forward in each year is 100,000 plus.
It's aggregated.
And now it's aggregated, so the totality of the overlay, I don't know for sure, but I think it's, somewhere around, it's north of $1 million.
So if triple the number of people who apply and get approved, apply now and get approved. So we're budgeting 400, I don't know what our total real expense is, we budget 400, but someone comes in and enough people come in, it's $1 million, $1.2 million. Do we have to adjust our budget?
Over time, we might have to adjust the amount that we budget for the overlay each year, but I can't envision that, in the first couple, 3, 4, 5 years, that, that there's gonna be that amount of activity.
Okay.
I mean, these are still pretty tight requirements in terms of asset value and income.
Yeah.
But
it's just increasing.
So, but the age is gonna make a difference, yes, but I don't see that, all of a sudden this is gonna quadruple.
So then the last thing is, so outreach, let us know how we can, our networks to get the word out. Is there a scenario where someone comes, again, you'd have to know their personal finances, but they come to the treasurer's office, the collector's office, they're writing a check for their taxes, and someone says, oh, did you know you qualify for this? And they could save some money. Is that a way that the staff would proactively, because some people, we pass this, 10 people watch our city council meeting and there's 29,000 people that don't even know that they qualify for it, but would we proactively say, at the counter, here's the program, you might qualify, they're over 65 somehow, I don't know if we have birth dates.
Invasive.
Yeah.
Right, but there's a point where we do know some things.
Well, we don't at the collector's window, and I guess from watching collector's windows activity for 25 years now, I'm more concerned that the collectors get the dollars and cents right than trying to.
Maybe it's a flyer on the
So
kiosk.
we could certainly put some things together and have them available. But I
Did you know?
don't think it's a good idea for us to be giving advice like that.
Fair enough.
I will say I just brought a constituent, walked him over to the window the other day and had a question and they knew right away to send them to the assessor's office. So they know where to draw the line up.
Yeah.
I don't know that answer, but I know Madonna downstairs will be able to help you. So
Good training for your staff too, and your staff, John. But I think it would be really helpful if there were some sort of, did you know, and it might cost us some money, but it'll help someone that might need it, so.
There could certainly be a seminar at the Council on Aging or something posted in several issues of their quarterly newsletters.
Well, we do have the option. I mean, there are limited things that we can put, add to the tax bills themselves in terms of the mailing. But if this is adopted, it would give us enough time to put a flyer together that would then go out with the tax bills.
Excellent.
That would be excellent. We don't vote on that, do we?
No.
Good. That'll take time, but I'd vote for it. Okay. No, I think this is awesome. Great work. Nancy in Assessor's office, great work. Tim, appreciate it. I'm good.
I'd also like to join my counselors in thanking the Assessor's Office for this initiative and reaching out and creating these opportunities for our residents, especially our seniors and veterans.
So one more question.
Councilor Gross.
So the reimbursement's flat, right? We're not getting, even though we've made these opportunities available for our citizens, we're not getting any more money.
Correct.
So
If
that'll
these are
it'll be
changed.
on our,
Mhm.
okay, I just want to make sure people understood that that's where it's gonna be, how it's gonna be paid. But as you said, we've had that reimbursement money is built up, so we've got a cushion, so it's not gonna affect us quite yet, and we'll be able to have the time to plan for it.
Mhm.
We can gauge it as it goes forward, yes.
Yeah.
I didn't know that aggregated over the years, so that's good.
1.3.
Good.
And no pennies is exactly what this is.
1,303,000.
Penny doesn't do pennies.
And 1 penny.
So, yeah,
1.3.
this will chip away at that.
That's good.
If there's no further discussion, I'll go ahead with the
I'm
motion.
not sure. May chip away at the rollover.
This is good.
Budget and Finance would move to recommend that the City Council accept the changes to property owner requirements in Mass General Law 59, Section 5, Clause 37A, 41A, and 41C. Those changes are summarized as below as follows. A, Clause 41C, senior exemption. 1, minimum age of property owner reduced from 70 to 65. 2, exemption amount increased from $500 to $1,000. 3, gross receipts limit increased for a single owner from $13,000 to $20,000, and for married owners from $15,000 to $30,000. 4, whole estate limit net of property value increased for a single owner from $28,000 to $40,000, and for married owners from $30,000 to $55,000. And 5, whole estate exclusion increased to 2 units in addition to the unit occupied by the applicant for an number of living units on property 3. B, clause 37, legally blind exemption. 1, adopt clause 37A, which increases the exemption amount from $437.50 to $500. C, clause 41A, tax deferral. 1, gross receipts limit increased from $30,000 to the income limit established by GLC 62, section 6K for the circuit breaker state income tax credit for single seniors who are not heads of households, currently $64,000 and subject to annual adjustment. And I so move.
Second.
Any further councilor questions or Councilor Wortley? Just a couple of process questions. Do we need these as separate votes with a separate laws for adopting? And do we need to advertise these because there's some other, this is a little bit different than any other budget transfer we've done. Do we need to adopt it in the law, do we need to advertise for hearings like that?
I think so.
No.
Just want to cross the Ts and dot the
We
Is.
can move forward on this quickly.
I'm good.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes in favor, so opposed. Unanimous vote of support.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I just wanted to make a comment on the veterans piece, so that to let the councilors know, we are not walking away or giving up on increasing the veterans benefits as well. The Chicarini, our veteran service officer, is going to a conference next week. This is a topic on their agenda. And we will be working with her when she comes back and gives us feedback on how to help support this through the state legislature with Senator Tarr. and with the Ferrati. So it's beneficial to the veterans across the state. If this happens at the state level, we have the opportunity for reimbursement possibly at that point. So we're not walking away from it. We're gonna stay committed to it.
And it's great that our veterans agent is there learning about it. That's great.
Yep, exactly. So stay tuned. We hope to bring you something.
Thank you. Moving right along, item number 4 is of great interest to some people here in town. And it's a memorandum from our chief financial officer and a loan authorization request for municipal.
that way if you want.
Thanks again to our assessors, Jim. Nancy.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
This is a memorandum from our CFO, John Dunn, and a loan authorization request for a municipal seasonal water line replacement project in the amount of $15.
15 million.
I went the other way last week, so I think I think the dollar amount is, what we all say together, $15 million. Yeah. Counselors, gentlemen, ladies, it's all yours.
Happily kick it off,
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
It's very exciting to see this.
It is exciting. I want to thank the residents in the room. This was, as you all know, at your meetings, highlighted by many of the residents in this room and others. Thank you, and with their persistence and the leadership of Councilor Nolan, we had a really productive meeting to discuss this issue. As you know, the mayor is an active listener and very thoughtful in his decision making. So when we brought it back to the team, worked through this with DPW Director Mike Hale and John. We determined that it would be much more equitable to address all summer water than choose one neighborhood over another. So that's what you see in front of you tonight. We then had to determine how to pay for it. Summer water, and I should just add, the state has been pushing on all communities to eliminate summer water. It is difficult to maintain. It is a lot of work on the DPW. So the next step was to figure out how we we're going to pay for it without it's kind of superseding the already planned for citywide municipal water and sewer work. So that's when we handed it over to John and said, John, how can we get this done and not displace the kind of already planned for work that has to be done throughout the city. So that's when John took a look at each of our options, and he can walk you through kind of why we landed here at the debt shift.
Well, so the first option was I bought a 5 quick picks to Mega Millions.
On that one.
You did.
You should have been 10.
Should have been 10.
Or 15.
So really, in terms of, the information that Mike Hale and I have talked about is that, he thinks at this point that, the totality of doing all of these things is in the range of 15 million. Now, we don't know exactly, when you open up a street, you never quite know what you're gonna find. Sometimes it's good stuff, but more often than not, it's bad stuff. So Mike basically kind of rounded up, and we're using the 15 million. We took a look at, how does this get financed? And just based on the size of the water fund, the annual water fund budget, to add the debt service on 15 million to that would just right now today would boost rates by 14%.
For everybody.
Right,
Citywide.
citywide.
Water users.
For water users. If again, we go with the debt shift, so moving it to the general fund. Based on that, taxes would go up by 1%. So looking at it back and forth, how we do it, we did some other, contemplation in terms of Mass General Law allows us to issue debt for this type of work at 40 years. However, as I talked back and forth with our financial advisors, it would cost us more because of the increase in the interest rate to do it for 40 years than to pay for it over 30 years. I and they were actually a little surprised by that. So at this point, if we're gonna do this, 30 years seems to be the way to do it. Our recommendation is that we do the debt shift, and put it within taxation, because that will have the least effect overall. And this is, again, like a lot of things, even though it's affecting an area, there are benefits to the entire city, for moving this project forward. So that's how we got to the idea of the debt shift, and that's what's being proposed.
The last time that the city undertook such a debt shift related to the water funds during the Kirk administration, is that?
Water funds in 2014.
CSO.
Now, CSO, yes, we did, so we did CSO originally. And then in 2014, we debt shifted all the then existing water debt.
100%. 100%.
Well, it's nice that it's an option to be explored, and we fortunately don't have to undertake it very frequently, but it is a tool that's available to us.
It is, and again, a project of this size, would have a large effect on either the water or sewer rates, just because, the totality of their budgets is so much smaller than the totality of the city general
Tax
budget.
budget.
Yeah.
It will be interesting when we have an opportunity to review your wonderful 30-year debt service forecast projections in terms of how this impacts. There are a large number of factors in terms of various projects that we've undertaken historically and are dropping off now.
Yeah, you're right, Counselor. I mean, again, as we get into projects like this, I don't know what interest rates are going to be. When we did this projection, we just presumed that it's the current interest rate environment. And also we presumed that the city was going to borrow all $15 million today, which generally doesn't happen. So again, I think, in terms of where we are, as I look at the economy, I think, the projection I got from our financial advisory firm is probably worst case in terms of what this is going to cost, presuming that the totality of the project cost doesn't change.
Councilors, questions?
So, you said benefits the whole city, but it's an equity issue. They pay the same water rates, they pay, so it's an equity issue for these people who live on the streets they live on, but for all those other streets too, to be provided with seasonal water. I'm surprised the state is pushing it, but no money coming from it, right?
I'm sorry that I left that out. We are exploring other options with Senator Tarr's office. There may be an option to go through the SRF program for this.
SRF.
State revolving fund.
And it's related to clean water.
Good.
We
That's
have
borrowing
a
also,
very
isn't
large
it?
ask in front of them for another small project going on. So
Clean water.
for clean water, so we have to decide with the, talk to
Clean water.
some of our contacts there and just determine whether or not that is the best way to go, but it's a possibility.
Right, but is that another loan?
It is a
It
lot.
would be a loan, but
Lower rate.
the interest is subsidized, and there is perhaps some loan forgiveness
Right.
with the SRF program.
So, well, that would be good, but we're just, to get the job done.
We need to have an appropriation first.
We need to get the job done and
Yep.
it needs to be started as soon as possible.
And like other projects, if other funding sources come forward that you are able to incorporate, then we borrow the amount, we've authorized the borrowing of the amount that's needed, but that will be reduced by subsequent others funding sources.
And raising the water rate, not only hurts the homeowner, but also hurts its businesses.
Mhm.
So this is as far as I can see, this is a no-brainer.
You know something about water rates,
No,
business,
nothing.
couple of questions.
Yes, please.
So firstly, I will be supporting this. Thank you, Karen Jill and Mayor Verga, John, for doing all this math. And I think the thanks goes to the neighborhood too, all the neighborhood for putting the pressure on. And I think you're very lucky to also have a very active ward council push this. So I don't know if Sean Nolan gets enough credit for
That
pulling
may
this
be
together.
why he was calling in.
It could have
at the
been.
meeting, yeah.
To pressure us to do the right thing. I just have a couple of general questions. And again, I'll be supporting this. 15 million does seem a little light. I'll trust that you've done some back of the envelope math on, obviously more than just back of the envelope, but on all this work. Is this, or are these all the streets that have summer water?
Yes,
Okay, and that
this is
was-
what's left.
Okay, and that was the determining factor on why these streets versus other streets that have been, we have had equal or nearly equal pressure, advocacy for Becker Circle and Haskell Court and other streets, so.
Those are different, that's not seasonal water.
Right,
Private water is different than seasonal water.
And there are situations of seasonal water being house by house
And private,
for summer homes.
right.
And that's separate from the kind of thing we're talking about
This
where we
is
have a neighborhood.
public seasonal water.
Yes.
and this is also just, I understand this, are all these on public roads?
I don't know that answer off the top of my head, but I can find it
No.
fairly quickly, because yours is not.
Correct. A number of them are private roads.
Okay, and that doesn't change my support, but I just wanna understand how we might be able to sort of thread the needle on paving on some of the private roads. Does this, it's because of borrowing money, is that exempt some of the other issues around public-private
It does not,
investment?
we're still bound by state law not to spend taxpayer money on private roads.
So will these streets, okay, so we're gonna dig up the private road with public money. We're gonna replace the water lines with public money. Obviously put the dirt back, but we're
Well,
not gonna
we-
pave it, or we can.
When
Well,
we do the
can-
work,
We can patch.
we can patch, we can do our, we can
Trench.
cover our work,
Right.
exactly,
Okay,
But
so
not-
they're not getting paving out of this project.
Curb to curb.
correct. They're not gonna curb to curb putting out of this.
That's why I thought this was light, cause I thought that they were going to be doing that, but so. That means some of these roads will be in rougher shape than they are right now. What do you have in water?
I mean, I can answer, that first of all, they were both, it's a combination of public and private where we are, I can't speak for the other two areas. So it's a combination. The easements are already in from the summer lines, and some of these lines actually run not through the road, but they abut the road, so they're next to the road, so it's gonna be a hodgepodge of, yeah, we gotta cross the road here, but on the, I can think of one that is, is public, and then it's gonna run out front, my place, it runs right through my front yard, but it's all eased through. It's not through the road. And again, it varies.
Just to clarify, most of the roads on Rust Island, I can't speak to the other areas, are map roads that are much larger. The easements probably, with the water lines run alongside the paved roads.
Within the
So there's a
44 right away.
connection that might go under the paved road, but the water lines run on like between 25 and 40 feet are the widths of the roads. They don't run under the paved portion of the road, so they can dig up
Okay.
alongside if they wanna be nice, and we hope they will. They can dig up
Tidy.
alongside,
And
in
it'll
the
just
dirt
be-
alongside the
that'll
road,
just
and
be
just patch
lateral.
for the connections, yeah.
Okay.
They don't have to dig up the center of the road,
Okay.
unless they don't want to, we'll see how they feel.
Fingers crossed.
Well,
Because there's no septic, so it's just water on it.
but they're not gonna be, this is, and I don't think we should be having a public hearing right now.
Yeah.
But this is, I understand it, this is a total replacement, it is not a replacement. These are installations of brand new lines that can go wherever they wanna go.
And there is excavation and details at a
So,
deeper depth.
Whether or
Seasonal.
not there's excavation easements alongside the road is another story, but it has nothing to do with the placement of the water line right now.
Okay, so now if I live on one of these roads and I wanna hook up, do I have to pay a contractor to do anything, or is DPW really going on, we're not going on private
We cannot go
property?
into private property.
So this is much like sewer hookups, this is, they need to all
Sewer
have
water.
someone.
The laterals are
The
at the
laterals.
individual
Yeah.
owner's expense.
Correct.
Couple other questions I had here, I mean, I think the debt shift makes sense, I don't know if we wanna take one or the other first, but. I think that the debt shift makes sense because we're spreading that over a larger number of payers, right? Taxpayers are a higher number of payers than water payers, right? The people who live in these areas that are on wells, they wouldn't need to be on wells any longer, presumably, if they wanted to be they've got to figure that out, like, I think you've been talking about watering Brackish, West Highland. This doesn't change anything in their well situation, this just says you turn on the faucet, you're gonna have water pressure, and you're gonna have clean water. They need to fix their own wells if they wanna continue using
Well,
water.
or hook up to the main line in the street now, so just like everybody else, they will have the option to abandon their well and hook up to that line for a lateral that comes out, yeah.
Okay, so people who have wells, they hook up, they can't use their wells.
Unless they want separate water systems, but you could have cross.
Yeah, they could use them for groundwater if that's back,
You
it has
could
to be
have
separately plumbed.
contamination, so you'd have to have either a cross connection valve installed.
Backflow preventer.
Backflow preventer installed, or you'd have to have,
There has to be a
Or-
physical break now.
yeah, physical break, that's state law.
On occasion, I ask questions, I know the answers to.
CVS Specialty Pharmacy.
Sorry.
So yes, if somebody has a magic well, they can maintain that.
It's a wishing well. Sometimes I ask questions that I know the answers, to get the answers on the public record, and sometimes I sit here and I learn things that I never, I would not, whatever that filter, whatever that
Backflow.
backflow.
Prevent.
Good for you guys, I'm learning every day, but, let's see, 40 years versus 30 years, you've done the math. We don't need to see it, you said it'd be interesting to see, it. We don't need to see that for this. Like, we
No,
don't decide 40 or
and
30.
and again, you know, as I said, it all depends on when we actually issue the debt. So,
Things
you
can
know,
be refinanced if markets
again,
change.
for the information that I got, I presume that we were gonna issue $15 million worth of debt yesterday.
I get it.
And
But you
$8,000
decide
would
that.
be $80 a year.
So, yeah,
$8,000 would be $80 a year on the tax bill.
I get it. But you decide, you administrative, you can make that decision without needing us to, or
Right.
wanting us to have any input on it. I just want to be clear on that. And then I have one last question, it's gonna be that writing, sorry. Oh, you said deferral, no, sorry, where's the last thing? I think I'm good. Thank you for bringing this to us, thank you for your advocacy, because
We
it's
just
not,
wanna note that fire hydrants is a main purpose of this as well, for the other area,
They're
the other
extra.
neighborhoods and this. Yeah, just wanna note it.
Those are
Okay.
wishing wells.
Yeah.
so this would include fire hydrants?
Yes.
Okay. And you've been talking very successfully, I think, about the risk of fire. And I don't know when
Public
this
safety.
project's gonna be done, do you have a guess as to when this would be implemented and?
I've not had that conversation.
It's
Step
sometime in the
one was
future.
to get this before this current council.
Right.
Okay,
Keep working.
I'll get the funding identified.
The season is gone.
Made it.
Yeah.
At this
it won't be, it's not
Not this
starting
year.
tomorrow.
Yeah, okay, so best case, spring, summer, next year. Okay, basic time. I know you've been asking for a long time, but I appreciate that you've been patient and I'm impressed. Thank you both. And for bringing it to us. I don't have any further questions, I'm happy to support this.
By the map out on Rust Island, I mean, you know, obviously it's going to the farthest extremities, so, you know, you'd have probably hydrants all the way down, at
Finally,
least, you know, within 500 feet. or-
All the way to the marina?
And the other side,
Oh, you know,
Ah.
way past.
we the fake on that side.
will this be a public hearing?
Yes,
Okay.
Yes.
So if we vote for this, would it be a public hearing at the next meeting?
it has to be advertised.
Supposed to be advertised.
That's a great question.
I think it's already been advertised, okay. Okay.
So at best, 3 weeks from now? But we don't know, we can't guarantee, I'm just saying that the people here, they might wanna know when to come and speak, but,
They've been watching that.
We're ready.
Well, no,
okay. I'm good, this is awesome.
It's the 24th, I think. Right?
Well, it's gotta be advertised, so we don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, no, not this the November 24th, I think, is the timeline with the proper advertising.
Could be, but there
Yeah.
could be, that could get bumped.
Exactly,
for
yes,
it,
yes,
so
but that would be the earliest you could possibly.
Could be.
We'll push for that, but, I just wanna make sure that you're in the loop, and you don't miss your hearing. chance.
They are, they are very vocal, we will.
Antenna, or, any other questions or kind of?
And I don't know how much of a salesman's job it has to have now.
Yeah, at this point, a strong recommendation from the mayor's office and this committee.
Yes.
I don't see the other councilors saying, any council Nolan as well. Okay, thank
With
you.
no other questions, I'm gonna go ahead and read the order for the memorandum and loan order and recommendation of the committee. Budget and Finance moves to recommend that the City Council approve the loan order as follows. Ordered that the City of Gloucester appropriates $15 million to pay costs associated with the replacement of municipal seasonal water lines in the following general areas: Valley Road neighborhood, Fernald Street, Lincoln/Walker Streets, Rust Island neighborhood, and any other identified area, including costs incidental or related thereto. To meet this appropriation, the treasurer, with the approval of the mayor, is authorized to borrow said amount under and pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 44, or pursuant to any other enabling authority. The mayor and any other appropriate officials of the city are authorized to apply for, accept, and expend any grants or gifts that may be available to the city to pay costs of the projects. Any premium received by the city upon the sale of any bonds or notes approved by this vote, less any premium applied to the state to the payment of costs of issuance for such bonds or notes may be applied to the payment of costs approved by this vote in accordance with Chapter 44, Section 20 of the general laws, thereby reducing the amount authorized to be borrowed to pay such costs by a like amount. Further ordered that the treasurer is authorized to file an application with the Municipal Finance Oversight Board to qualify under Chapter 44A of the general laws any or all of the bonds authorized by this order, and to provide such information and execute such documents as the Municipal Finance Oversight Board may require for these purposes. And B, shift of debt service for seasonal water line replacement project. Should I do that as a separate vote?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, two
Okay.
separate votes.
So the first one I've read and I so move.
Second.
Further discussion, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously, 3 in favor, 0 opposed. And part B of this loan order is a shift of debt service for seasonal water line replacement project. Budget and Finance recommends to the City Council to accept pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 59, Section 21CN, authorizing the city to hereafter assess taxes in excess of the amount otherwise allowed by Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 59, S21C, solely for the payment in whole or in part of water debt incurred as a result of a project to replace municipal seasonal water lines in various areas of the city, provided that the annual user charges billed in the Water Enterprise Fund shall be reduced by the amount of any such aggregate additional taxes assessed, and such additional taxes shall be assessed on all real property. And I so move.
Second.
Any further discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously, 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Hasn't been that long, come on.
Thank you all
Good,
very much.
good having
I'll keep my paddle, my pails ready, okay, before that, okay?
Absolutely.
We're gonna do a little block party once we're all done with this project.
Absolutely, we will have big water.
Good, good community.
water.
We'll certainly have city water.
I'll bring the- I'll
has
bring the
nice
ice.
city water, all right.
Thank you very
Put a
much.
bubble on one of the hydrants.
Thank you all.
Thank you guys.
You're very
Thank you.
welcome. Thank you guys for being here and your leadership on this.
Thank you for auditing it later.
Absolutely, will do.
Was that an iPhone charger I can use for a few minutes?
No, this doesn't have a plug.
I'm sorry, I did very much. I'm sorry.
I don't have a charger here, Dan.
So that's plugged into Zoom room battery, so
That's just plugged in the battery.
so I can
Plug
unplug
the
it?
battery back in when you're done.
Thanks, Dad. Here is it.
Well,
Thanks, Dad.
John and
Put it back.
No, I-
Oh, it doesn't matter.
reflects a great deal
Oh,
of
it's got a
effort,
USB-C.
thought and work to put in place, so thank you.
Thank you.
I have a cord, I don't have a.
Another day.
This is another day.
This is.
Yeah, no, you're right. It did take a little bit
Doesn't
of
make
time
sense.
to figure
Oh,
out.
yeah.
Cause I'm sorry to do this. I have.
You have a USB-C.
That's a lot of money.
And hopefully not too much granite.
Yes.
And that's the thing with seasonal water lines, they're on the surface. And year-round water lines are, what's the typical depth, 3 feet?
Well, are there water lines on the surface?
Or just under?
Or, yeah, some of them you can see, depends on where it is, some of them, you can see.
Used to be able to see the old ones on my street.
So it's gonna be,
Galvanized pipe.
it's gonna be
Thank you,
expensive.
counselors. I'm gonna head out there, you're in good hands.
Bye.
You don't want
Talk
to
to you later.
supervise Elise's contributions?
I'm just thrilled that they keep coming in.
They do keep coming in, yes.
It's a good thing.
Thank you for the time.
Item number 5 is a memorandum from the Director of Elder Services, Elise Sinagra, requesting acceptance of donations in the net amount of $1,057.90. And I would move for Budget and Finance to recommend to the City Council to accept various cash donations under Mass General Law 4453A, support the Council on Aging in the total amount of $1,057.90 from the following residents and business partners within our community. Those include Grace Lane, James Howard, Sherry Favaloro, Marilyn Grant, Bernice Blitz, Constance Condon, Frederick Cowan, Barry McKay, Elizabeth Barron, and Bruce Davis. For again, a total amount of $1,057.90, and I so move.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. 3 in favor, 0 opposed.
No questions?
Where's your, I didn't see your name on the list. So. Okay, we're back in your able hands.
Yes. So the report, not much has changed since the last report. 39 accounts, it's only increased by 3, it was 36 last time. The dollar amount did increase quite a bit. We're at 873, 709 last time. Again, not much has changed. The majority of the deficits are related to salaries, as we've been talking about since the beginning of the fiscal year. There's a building insurance and then also interest on notes on the bands. So those are kind of, those are not, that's not salary. So those are, not our new accounts. But yeah, the majority, it's the same. The only thing I was thinking for the next report, if you'd like to do that other report they had suggested, kind of a overall summary, so kind of the good report, I guess. Summary, if that's what you guys, if you'd like to do that, I can do that as maybe through September, like maybe looking at it
We're
like
almost at
first
6
quarter.
months.
Or would you want to do it through October or 4 months? I don't know, it's up, will the committee, I don't know if you want to do a quarter or you want to do it 4 months. Again, the numbers keep changing, we've
It
talked
doesn't
about
matter to
this.
me. It's whatever the other council is.
Yeah, will the committee?
So since I was one kind of asking, if you don't mind, could we do quarterly? Obviously, we're done with the first quarter. But can we do it as of the first quarter, or would it be a current?
So I can
think it'd be
do,
easier to say, okay, July, August, September.
yeah. So let's do that. What I can do is I can do first quarter, send those reports out
That's it.
for the next meeting, and that's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rather than this, because I mean, I imagine it's just gonna be more of the same. So it's I'm starting to feel like it's becoming stale.
Mhm.
So I think just to kind of mix things
Unless
up.
we encounter an iceberg that comes plowing
Right.
through. So,
Yeah, and I hope not, so.
Well, yeah, so, I took a start last week, but didn't finish it. I mean, there is the availability to move things around within salary lines.
But you don't need to do unnecessary work now. It's gonna.
Well, but there are things that don't get paid until the end of the fiscal year, so we can get rid of some of these things now and then just see if there's an impact at the end of the year.
That's my hidden goal.
DPW, police, fire have, relatively large amounts of movement during the course of the year, so it's likely that it's just as likely for them to end up with a positive variance as a negative variance.
Mhm.
For the ones we can, splash away at and transfer earlier in the year if you
Yep.
can, great. I had a couple questions on this real quick. Community development, that was a big jump, I thought. $87,000,
81.
sorry. I've lost track of where that was, there it is, 81,000. What's that? If you know.
Well, actually, it went down. So last time it was 85,000. Now it's 81. So that actually did decrease.
Yeah, but I guess I missed it last time. What would make a department? What's the percentage of the programs?
It could be that there's an encumbrance there that is wrong, so I did ask payroll to take a look. And I haven't gotten an answer. Well, they may have given me an answer, I just haven't read it yet.
I'm not gonna, some of that's a large percentage, but a small amount of money, it's still a small amount of money, I'm not gonna spend any time on that. Council Agent, we know it's a timing thing,
Yeah, that's the grant, so that 136,000 would be wiped away.
building insurance, that was like 132,000.
Yeah, we just paid the bill on the last warrant. So we're a little short, or I'm not sure if
Well,
credits are coming.
So, yeah, there's some credits that are out there. You know, there's also probably another bill coming. So, you know, we've added some assets over the past year. Harbor Master boat. We also brought the new elementary school online. So that's a fairly significant increase in asset value for the city. So, you know, there's some things that have been going on recently that have pushed asset values up.
Sure, we are sheltered though within the state fund in terms of a claim like we encountered with City
We're
Hall.
we're using Maya. So, you know, in my experience, it probably really doesn't get any better than that. And Maya is organized in such a way that, you know, if all of the members are producing positive variances on contribution versus insurance payouts, then that variance gets shared in many cases. So it's a good place to be.
Yep. Okay, Jane, did you want to just comment additionally on the CPA status? You sent us all a memo, which was a couple of updates in terms of availability of funds.
Yep, absolutely. So the Community Preservation Coalition, they sent out an email this morning. So they looked at just the trust fund and the collections, and they noticed about 18 million less comparative from this year to last year. It's about 30% drop. And DOR, funny, back in March, they didn't make any recommendations as far as the state match, but now they're coming out and they're saying 20%. And we've been conservative, we've been budgeting 17%. So I think obviously we'll be fine, we'll be okay, just being conservative in nature.
Last year we were up to nearly 40%.
Correct, yeah, but we still.
In the match.
Yeah, so it was about 290,000 last year. We're looking at probably about 160,000. I did the math. It's gonna be about 160,000, so it's about a 40% drop from last year. So unless the state decides to kick in additional funding, which it doesn't sound like it, just based off the article, based off the information. I guess they didn't even take up a bill at all during the budget process, so I can't imagine they'll take anything up in between. So, you know, I think 160,000, I think that's probably gonna be the number it's gonna be close to, and I don't see additional funding. So just to keep, you know, in back of your head and your mind when we're looking at the budget, and then also those projects that are coming before you. And just, you know, I met with the Community Preservation Committee, I think it was back in August, and I said to them, I mean, they, you know, I think they have projects well over 1 million. So there's a lot of competing needs. So I talked to them and said, look, you know, you need to vet these projects and see which ones are maybe shovel ready, as opposed to, you know, projects that are semi-ready and maybe they can wait a year. So I think they needed to, so they said that they were going to do that. Just the ask is well over 1 million. So I think they were looking at about, you know, maybe projects of about $1 million of funding. But I said to her, maybe look at some projects that could come up, you know, off cycle. And then if you leave some money for, you know, in off cycle or for the next year, because funding it's not increasing, it's decreasing. So just things to, you know, to be mindful of as you're awarding these projects. So, and I just want the committee, I want you to know that.
Yeah, and as long as the Community Preservation Committee is in the loop with all this, which I'm sure they are.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. I know that they received the same email from the coalition. I can also, if you would like, I can send that to, you know, the committee, you know, as well. I can send that to Matt.
Yep.
So I know Matt does a good job with the committee. He does a good job setting up information. He'll ask me questions. They always want to know how much money they have. You know, that's always the burning question.
The first question.
The first question. That's always the burning question, you know. So I've been trying to help them.
Thank you.
Yeah.
One last question I have is, you forwarded us an email from Deborah Wagner. excess and deficiency.
So that was the
So
main.
it's just about,
But that, all that, it's
But what-
E and D, so
Yeah.
the school, it's like their free cash,
Yeah,
so it's
that's
E
all
and
that
D. There's no money coming back to us.
They get
I can-
certified, that's their surplus.
Yeah, if their surplus is greater, I forget the percentage amount, it's greater than 5% of their operating budget, that money comes back to us. I can tell you, in
So
over
we're
10
never-
years, I've never seen
you're
any
never-
problem, it's never gonna come back.
What is it?
Or reduces the.
That would have to be
next
about,
Yeah,
that would have to be at least 5 million.
yeah,
I'm just not
more.
sure, is this the?
It's not
is it
coming
North
back.
Shore Tech? Is that-
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yeah, it's their free,
Sorry.
it's their version of their free cash,
That's exact.
they get free, they have free cash too.
I couldn't make sense of it because of the, it didn't say school, it just said S B
Yeah,
North Shore.
it's E and D, it's excess and deficiency, but it's their version of free cash.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I get a question for John though.
Question for John before we adjourn?
so we're gonna be looking at a higher line item on insurance next year, right?
Probably, yeah, as you think about it, I mean, we've got elementary school, police station, library, eventually we're gonna have city
Yeah.
hall,
Oh,
so,
we won't have the library next year, but.
right, but those will be layering in over time, and.
So we can just
You know,
anticipate.
those, the depreciated values that are being carried right now are gonna be. Because, they know what we spent.
Right. Can't have that part.
Okay.
Because they're reimbursing us.
Ready?
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Grace, you in favor of adjourning? Okay, I thought so.
Sorry.
Very efficient.
And,
Thank you.
I'm glad those folks were here. I apologize for recognizing them, giving them a chance to speak. That was helpful.
One moment, we're not ended yet.